Hey, Desiree here with Soul Path Astrology and this week's energy update, this week's oracle card readings, and holy moly, you guys, is this ever an action-packed week? I can't wait to jump into this, imbue this video with all of the mojo and goodness that has just been bubbling up, and generally just get the ball rolling on what's proving to be one of the most powerful months, especially the tail end of September here, really this whole year. Are you feeling it? I can't wait to jump in and tell you all about it. Before I do, though, I do want to invite you, if you haven't yet, do subscribe to the channel, like these videos if you find value in them, and do share them, please, with friends or family that you think would resonate. Let's grow the love, let's share the goodness, and let's just make this party that much bigger. Also, if you're new to the channel, I just want to welcome you from the bottom of my heart. If you are a seeker, if you are somebody who just knows that there is a more loving, more beautiful way to do life, that you weren't just put here to make widgets and slog through your daily day and, barely make it from one weekend to the next, you are in the right place. If you are recovering from addictions, if you are seeking a healthier relationship dynamics, if you are just ready, to start stepping into the next evolutionary version of yourself, you are in the right place. I want to welcome you here. Hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. And if you are returning, hey y'all, welcome back. I love you, my soul fam. Yeah, just gathering in that collective mojo before we jump in. One last thing, this is how this video works. I'll talk about the energetics, astrology speaking for the first little bit. Then there'll be this little grounding and meditation, really short, like a minute and a half at the most. You'll get an opportunity to select from 3 cards if you haven't yet chosen yours. And then you can timestamp to the one or ones that resonate to you. And at the very end, I always do recommend that you stick it out to the very end. There's usually a lovely little nugget, a little dollop of love for you to take forward with you into the week. So that's that. Without further ado, let's jump into the Astros. Look at these notes. There's a lot. There is a lot this week. So this is the week of September 16th to 22nd. Probably the biggest event and the one I'll likely spend the most time chatting about is the partial solar eclipse in Virgo on the 21st. That's a new moon. That's how that works. And it's, of course, going to be on the axis, the Pisces Virgo axis. This is the world axis. This is the north node is like where we're heading. The south node is what we've already gotten good at and we need to maybe unstick. And this is happening on the south node. So this is like karmic endings. This is a really big deal. I'll get into more details about that later in the video though. But let's start with September 17th, when Virgo in Mercury is opposing Saturn in Pisces. On the 18th, Mercury then moves into Libra. It's opposing Neptune in Aries, and it's trining Uranus in Gemini. And I'll explain why this matters all in a minute. And on the 19th, Mercury, that busy little bee, is trining Pluto, who's still in Aquarius and will be for quite some time. And Venus moves into Virgo. And so why does all of this matter? Well, first of all, Virgo is so much the Pisces Virgo axis that all of this stuff is like really happening on. This is about health. This is about spiritual health. This is about physical health. It's about daily habits. And so right now we're really being called into like taking stock, take inventory. What do you do during the day? What do you do to nourish yourself? We're really coming up. Like I'm feeling this so deep in the marrow of my bones. The importance of grounding, like literally every single day, get outside, even if it's just for like 4 or 5 minutes, take your shoes off and touch the earth, touch the tree. There's a quality of realness about that. It helps us reattune to real life. Most of us are so trapped in our screens with the world. Like there is so much disruption going on right now globally. It can be like whiplashy. Our nervous systems are not designed to handle these huge world tragedies followed by funny memes and, tidbits. Like our social feed is just it's too much, honestly. And, both my kids actually reached out to me this week because of some events that had happened that were just really jarring for them. And I just thought, like we're all in this horrible trauma response right now. And we don't need more enemies. The solution isn't to find the bad guy and kill them. that model of like bringing peace hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for thousands of years. It's never going to work because it isn't, it's the same level of consciousness that's creating the problem in the first place. And so we're being invited into tapping into something new, connecting Virgo, Pisces energy, these two together. This is like connecting with that wisdom that resides within you, that is the same wisdom that trees grow from, that the sun shines from, that your body digests its food from, that your skin cells regenerate when they're injured. Like there is an innate wisdom, an innate knowing that is so beyond what our minds can comprehend. We're we belong to the earth. We are not here to be stewards or to be like lords over it, to understand it, to cut it up into ever smaller pieces in an attempt to control it. We're actually here to remember our deep place within it. And these placements are so inviting you into speaking about this, into feeling about this, into advocating for this. Like we have this final 5 months or so where there's an energy where Saturn has gone back into Pisces, and the invitation there is like, how can we make our dreams come true? Like Pisces is our dreams, and Saturn is the energy of tangibility, of boundaries, of like three-dimensional living. And I know if you are on this channel, you are one of these people that just, you're in the first wave of this. You feel this calling in you to live in a way that is so much more in alignment with the depth of who you are, with this truth. And this eclipse is just absolutely inviting you into that, like taking the time to really potentially control, alt, delete so much of what's going on. Maybe you've already been making a lot of changes. Maybe you've had like big life shifts already and you're just going to be building on those. And for some of you, it's maybe more like you've been avoiding this and you've been coming up with excuses why you don't need to make the change, or why maybe where it's at is still workable or whatever. But this is like this squeeze right now where it's like you have to release this. Like just do it. Why resist that impulse to open, to evolve, to stretch into this new next version of yourself? It's organic. It's a relief to finally do it. We've been living, I was contemplating this in my journals today about how much we've been living outside of natural forces. Like we as a species, and we're the only one that does this, that just pushes against nature, that desperately believes itself to be superior in wisdom to nature. And we're like out of alignment with life. And if we can just imagine the shift, like if we can collectively start to make a shift towards living in alignment with life, like the relief and how quickly things can change. Like what we're seeing around us is the evidence of what happens when you live outside of life, when you live outside of natural rhythms, natural unfoldings, when we try so hard to push and press and control our ideas of life and death, our ideas of right and wrong onto the natural world. There is, thank God, within our collective, still the faint echoes of an old wisdom, an indigenous wisdom, cell deep, DNA deep wisdom. It resides in our bodies and we can reconnect to that. And that's what's happening astrologically. Like we are just so deeply being invited into this reconnection. It's about dropping labels. It's about dropping the right and wrongness of things. And it's about like returning to that place within you that feels natural. Like you remember when the COVID thing happened and the whole world shut down, and like how quickly the skies cleared of the smog, how quickly the waterways started to clear up, how quickly plants started to come back, animals started like the most incredibly short period of time when we stopped forcing what doesn't even fit because none of us want to live like that. I mean, none of us want to live making widgets, working 9 to 5 at jobs we all fucking hate that suck our life force out of us because, well, golly, we have to make the mortgage payment. Like, that's not, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So let's collectively dream a new story together because why do you not want it? Because some huge part of you, some DNA deep cellular level part of you understands that that is so out of accordance with natural isness and all this Virgo energy as we come into Virgo season, as we come into the equinox. And incidentally, the fall equinox here, is 24 hours after the solar eclipse. So it's like next level powerful. Like come into this new way of seeing yourself, this new way of feeling yourself as part of nature, as belonging to the earth. And if that were true, how would you live? How would you filter your decisions? What lenses would you put on to see the world? What kind of opportunities would you start to seek out and create? So that's the energy right now. I know I wasn't specific about the Astros, but just trust that that's what's going on energetically, supporting that, and supporting our evolution that's been we've sort of been repressing it. We've been pushing ourselves away from what feels natural. And the invitation, Virgo, is all about what's natural. It's all about just being who you actually are. It's all about connecting to the earth and letting her awaken your own in inner gnosis, a wisdom that's just part of your DNA. It's not externalized. It's not. And with all the major planets being like retrograde, most of the outer planets are retrograde, like come in, come into your own wisdom. This is about reconnecting to your guidance system, your deepest, unconditioned, like your natural knowing. Okay, there's that. Let's drop into this week's meditation. I want to invite you to close your eyes or just soften them if you can't close them or you don't feel comfortable closing them. Arrive with me, my dear soul fam, in this moment. Exhaling, taking in a big deep breath together. We'll do 3 of these. Audible exhale. Softening the space between your eyes. Softening your jaw, letting your tongue drop down from the roof of your mouth. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Soften that belly and notice how your sit bones are being supported by whatever you're sitting on. Allow yourself to notice the airspace that you occupy. Notice the empty space around you. Notice the boundary line between your physical body and that space. Big deep breath in. Audible exhale. Arriving in this present moment. Feeling the energy coursing through your body. Feeling your light filling you. Filling this space. Filling your heart and your mind and your body and the room and the whole building and the city and the country and the planet, and imagining the whole earth itself glowing like a sun from our radiance. Breath in, breath out. Welcoming yourself home. Welcoming yourself into this space and opening your eyes when you feel right. Okay, this week's cards, here they are. Card 1, card 2, card 3. Let's jump in. Here you go. If this was your selection card 1, this is what you've got. Whoa, the Knight of Wands. Oh, we love the Knight of Wands. He's so intrepid. He's like embodies Sag energy. So this is adventure, travel. Wands is about creativity and spirituality. It's the fire signs. This could be a fire sign. So this could be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. It could be whether that's their star sign or their rising sign or their moon sign. This could be you. Maybe you're starting on an intrepid adventure. Maybe you are expanding your mind. Maybe you're exploring new cultures. There's such a beauty when you start to meet new people with curiosity, when you approach cultural differences with delight. And so rather than trying to homogenize everyone together, it's like, how can I see the wonder in the differences? And how can I find overlap and common ground in these differences where I don't need to change myself or them in order for us to find a way to be cohesive and to be collaborative together? I love this card. Like, this is really like, oh, it's fun. There's so much expanded ideas. There's energy around mm, like magic. The wands really do imbue a lot of magic to me. Like, allow in this positive uptick in energy. This maybe you're going to meet somebody who this resonates with. Maybe you're the one bringing this energy into the scene. But yeah, if this is something that you like imagine yourself to be, like, play with that, drop into it, really start doing some things that allow you to feel like you're connecting to that exploratory, charting new territory, culture shock, spontaneous. Like, allow yourself to be spontaneous. Yeah. What a beautiful energy. Okay, card number two. Do, 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 do. Another wand. This time we have the page. So he is the younger version of the knight. The page of wands is maybe you're looking for mentorship or elderhood. Maybe you're looking like you're just starting something. And so, like, have some patience with yourself as you stumble a little bit while you work it out. Maybe it's a bit clunky. Again, maybe there's a new creative endeavor on the scene and you're starting something new with somebody. There's a lot of optimism with this card. Like, there is so much energy of playfulness and expansiveness and optimism, like I said, and there's a free spirit. Like, it's young. It's young and it's new and it needs your love. If this is you, maybe you have some creative ideas that are going on. Maybe the beginning of this video inspired you to start to feel excited about possibilities that you shelved. So this is the other thing about the eclipses. Maybe something got started in March. So when the first set of eclipses were happening this year, that you started to kind of get going and then maybe it sort of petered out, or maybe it just sort of got tabled or put to the back burner. And now it's coming up again. There's this opportunity, and you might not know how to make it come alive. This energy is like, this one doesn't know. The page doesn't know how this is going to happen yet. It's about tapping into it, though. It's like dialing into that big, audacious dream that you have, this big, audacious, beautiful image of what do you want to build? Like, what kind of culture do you want to live in? Like, culture, this word is so interesting because, in a petri dish, there's a culture that you put in there, that whatever you put in the petri dish grows in. But our culture is no different than that. Like, as a species, what kind of do we want it to be? A toxic culture that just creates like distortion and twists and sharp points? Or do we want it to be nourishing and loving? And if that's what you want, how can you start to create that internally, your internal culture? How can you shift that and be playful with that and invite in that childlike optimism of infinite possibility? Like, in order to start something new, we have to be willing to not know. We have to be willing to maybe have it not work the first few times. There needs to be some levity and some joyfulness and some curiosity and playfulness. And that's what this card is asking you to step into. Align with that. Find some playmates who have similar values and ideas and maybe see what collectively starts to build between you. Yeah. Okay. Last but never least, card 3, the 4 of Pentacles. So why haven't you started doing this? Well, I'm afraid of the money. I'm afraid of my resources. 4 of Pentacles feels Sometimes, like at its highest octave, it's an affirmation that you have healthy boundaries around your money and your resources, and you have figured out how to manage that in a good way, in a healthy, supportive way. It does, however, often show up when there is some anxiety and feeling like there isn't sufficient support or feeling like there's not enough resources, and that you kind of like, so he's got like money on the mind and he's money on his heart and money on each foot. Like there's, it's the fours are always very like on its highest octave, it's stability, and on its lowest octave, it's like repression and it's too squeezed in and it's too boundaried. So if this is your card, where are you falling on that spectrum? Like, are you feeling like, yes, I am making changes that are creating a healthy structure for myself so that I can have the resources coming in to support this big dream of mine? Or are you having fearful sort of like, oh God, there's not enough, and what am I going to do? And because I can tell you from my own personal experience, because I've had lots around money. Like this is one of my edges, my little learning curves, and actually I was marveling about how far I've gotten in my life, recreating it time and time again to come from that organic place that I spoke about, like to build a life that comes from my DNA, and how many times I've had to start from like literally scratch. And so that can be really scary, like to have really like what I could fit in the back of a sedan. And whatever little meager savings I had from selling my van, like if I can do that, you guys can do that. Like, I'm resources find their way to you. And if you're doing work because you're afraid, if you're coming from hustle, if you're trying to force it, like this is the other energy around the Four of Pentacles. It's there's the question around control and the question around power. And the invitation is like, do I trust the universe to offer me my daily bread? And yes, God helps those who help themselves, but it's like helping yourself through aligning with security. That's, a huge theme of this card. What do you need to feel safe? Where do you source safety from? How do you feel that in your body? Can you attune your nervous system now into a place of safety? Because if you're always hustling, well, I'll feel safe when there's 10 grand in the bank, or I'll feel safe if I know I've, so many jobs lined up, or I'll feel safe when I'm married to the right person, or whatever it is, you're chasing security and you will forever be chasing it. So the invitation with any of the four cards is like, come into this present moment and can you attune to that sensation now? Because all there really is now. So if your now moment is anxiously living in the future, then all there is going to be is moments of anxiously living in the future. If your now moment is regretfully living in the past, then you'll just live in this sort of sad, nostalgic stuckness. But if you arrive here in this present moment and just meet it exactly where it is, maybe it is anxious right now. Maybe it is super relaxed right now. Maybe it is nostalgic and missing right now. So just arrive for that. And then arrive for what is actually present in this specific moment, not in your thoughts, because the future and the past are in your thoughts. They're not right now. So, using your five senses, what is around you right now? And can you find a sense of security in that? So, that's the medicine for the Four of Pentacles. I hope that landed. I hope all these landed. I love you guys. If you would like a reading, because I do personal readings for these, I do just your own cards if you want to do that. If you know your exact birth time, then we can do a soul path reading where we deep dive into all the details of your astrology chart and your human design if need be, your gene keys. We do cards on those too. The whole of it is a platform basically for coaching for you to learn how to attune to your inner wisdom. This isn't about using me as your guru or taking my words in place of your own. It's me to cultivate and to use my own experience as an example for you to connect to your own wisdom, to sometimes reframe your life experiences to see where the gifts are in them rather than just seeing them from a victim standpoint or from having been buffeted about, and inside them there is this gift. There is. And I have a gift for seeing the gift in those ugly, crunchy moments in our life. So if that's something you would like some help with, I'm your girl. Please do reach out to me. You can DM me. The link to my calendar is also in the description of the card and as one of the pinned comments. Final note. Final note for today. Truly, you can build what you want. That longing inside your heart is not a pipe dream. It's not fancy sillinesses. It's real, and it's longing for you to show up for it. The astrology is so supportive of this. We have so many interesting things going on right now that are just so encouraging. Like, we're watching some of the most horrible, divisive, ugliest parts of humanity arise right now in the public eye. We're seeing governments collapsing. We're seeing uprisings. We're seeing fires. We're seeing earthquakes. We're like death and destruction. We're seeing so much because it isn't sustainable. Humanity has been falling from a cliff, believing itself flying for a very long time. And we're finally actually hitting the ground. And this is exactly what we need so that we can pick ourselves up and actually figure out how to fly. Where we stop deluding ourselves with what we thought should work, where we stop trying to force reality to fit our hypotheses and instead just become curious about what is actually happening, about what actually works, and become curious and humble about how we can put ourselves in service to what actually works for the whole of everything, for the animals, for the plants, for the soil, for the air, for the water. It's all interconnected. We can't just separate ourselves and live in little bubbles and say, well, over here, I'm taking care of it. It's all one beautiful, cohesive thing. And nor do we have to give up the parts of us that we find most precious. In fact, that's the thing that we bring to the table to create the symphony of belonging together, belonging to our planet, building this life. And you were born now in this time frame for a reason, because you wanted to be here to usher this in. You wanted to be here to step into the fullness of your gift. You wanted to be here to turn and go, holy shit, look, we are here at the most pivotal edge point of human consciousness and human evolution. And it's so fucking awesome. So this is the invitation. This is where we are. And there's going to be a few years here. We're going to have, you won't even, like 2027, we're going to look back and go, wow, I can't even believe how far we've come. But it's okay to have some patience. You know, we'll pull from that page of wands. It's okay to not quite know how we're going to get there. It's okay to feel like it's kind of a bit of a hot mess, because it is, but it's perfect timing. You are here in perfect timing. That longing is bursting from your heart in perfect timing. You're surrounding yourself, attracting, magnetizing the perfect people in right timing. Trust it all. You are exactly where you need to be. And I'm so happy you're here. I hope that landed. I love you. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye for now.